what your definition is of success.
If I could do a little bit to like make the world a little bit of a kinder place and also have a nice time while doing it, then like that would be like my definition of success.
Hi, and welcome to Indian Explorers. In this podcast, we talk about Indian success stories. I am Sabrina, and together with my co-host Amit, we will get to understand the journey of our guests and what drives them. The optimism, patience, idealism, and courage, these are their attributes that we want to bring to life in these conversations with them. If you enjoy the show, please hit the subscribe button and share it with others.
Hi, Sabrina.
New Year. Happy New Year.
I like the
Oh, yeah. I see Naima doing that when she makes little videos. Hit subscribe.
Sabrina, if it's a new year, when are you removing the Christmas tree and making your background less attractive than mine?
This week. Or maybe I'll just keep it. It looks so pretty. See? It looks really pretty.
Yeah.
And keeps me in a festive mood.
Speaking of new year, we're a week or two into it. What has changed? Have you stuck to your New Year resolutions, or do you not have any?
I decided at the end of 2023 that I just need to continue having balance and happiness in my life. So that Noel and I have a startup called the 5 Spheres of Fit. 5 spheres being your physical, mental, financial, social, and educational spheres. That's what we encompass. And I just want to continue having balance in them. And when I do have a challenge, I need to address it and, maintain that happiness. That's what I just want to focus on this year.
Got it.
So,
but no targets.
What about you?
No specific, I'm going to give up chocolate or I'm going to, do ABC. But that's what a New Year resolution is about, not just be the same.
Maybe the same is great. Maybe I don't need to give up anything. Why? Are you giving up something?
I am actually.
What are you giving up?
It's been 5 days. I've not had a Coke Zero in 5 days.
Wow. How do you feel? Any twitches?
That tongue doesn't have that taste anymore, that you have after having too many Coke Zeros. So you get up in the morning, you don't feel like, you feel like you've brushed your teeth as opposed to have that, Coke flavor.
I drink Diet Coke, and it has been a vice of mine for a long time that my cousins even say, like, you still drink it. It is so bad for us. Oh. So Coke Zero is the same way. The aspartame in it, the way it affects our blood sugar levels is so bad.
Yeah, it's been 5 days.
It's a drug, really. That's why I asked you, like, do you have those twitches? Because it literally is a drug.
Ask me in 5 weeks, Sabrina. Yeah, as of now, no.
I will. I will. So what are your resolutions?
So for me, I think of it from a project specific or relationship specific or health specific, right? So I'm not going to say I'm going to go to the gym more or all that boring stuff that we do every year. So for me, the health one this year was the giving up of Coke Zero. And, from having 3 a day to 0 in 5 days is a good start, but it is only a start.
Cold turkey.
Yeah. Then from a relationship wise, I want to just be more present, so when I'm eating with the kids or when I'm putting the kids to sleep, I want to try and do it without, having the phone near me. So that's something I've started doing. And then the big one is just like in 2023, the big one for me was starting this podcast with you. I feel in 2024, I think I mentioned it in one of the pods, which the one with Sujay Tile, that I've got this brand called panabana.com, which I want to do something with it. And I've actually now defined something. I don't want to talk about it today, but basically it's starting a new brand / company. I want to do it this year. Hopefully if it develops, I'll talk about it eventually, but those are my 3 targets for the year.
So your targets are in the physical, the social and the financial spheres, and all that affects your mental sphere. So
correct. And if you add the fifth, the educational one, well, this podcast makes us learn. I have a feeling today we're going to learn about climate control and things that we
should not be eating.
Yeah, I don't know much
anymore.
I have a feeling our next guest is going to be either vegetarian or vegan. So I have a good joke, which I'll leave for the pod, not to talk about it now.
Please don't insult her, and she's going to hang up on us.
It's okay if she does, Sabrina. It's okay if she does.
Is it?
Yeah, let's jump on whenever. Let's jump onto the podcast whenever you want.
Yep, let's do it.
All right.
Okay, so Amitu, today we have Ambika Hiranandani. She is a force of social impact with over 20 years of experience in law and policy, and is a renowned advisor in both sustainability and alternative protein domains. She has a master's of philosophy, a postgraduate degree in public policy from the University of Cambridge. She was profiled by the magazine India Today as one of India's 50 most powerful female change makers, and has extensive public speaking record, including debates on various news channels, a TEDx talk, and also a podcast series. She has recently returned from Dubai, where she attended the COP28, and we want to know all about how that was. So welcome to the show, Ambika. How are you?
I'm good, Sabrina. Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed listening to episodes of your podcast. You and Amit are doing such a fabulous job having these fantastic informal conversations with people. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I think you're being far too kind, but anyway, I guess we'll let everyone listening be the judge of that.
I forgot to mention, and she has fabulous hair. So
anyway, this isn't
my mom always told.
This isn't a fashion podcast. So welcome to the show, Ambika. How are you?
I'm good. Amit, how are you?
Good.
How are you?
Very good. Ambika, when we did the intro chat, I remember you asked me a question. You asked me, are you only targeting people from Cathedral? And I was like,
oh my God.
I was like, I don't even know what that meant, because I didn't realize that, Sahil, Akshay, and previous guests all went to Cathedral. And for Sabrina and I, we find interesting people who have a good story and who are open to sharing their story. So tell us more about Cathedral and what it means to you to be part of that school.
Gosh, so it's such a complicated relationship. So like most relationships. But I think one of the interesting things about Cathedral is that every single day when you go into your assembly, every morning, it's like, I remember we would have our principal standing up there, and she would really talk to us about being the best that we can be, about, representing the school. So much of our conversations in school were really about how wherever we go, we're representing the school and how we need to be the best that we can be. Now, when you think back at this, it's fabulous that we had that kind of a conversation every single day, because it's sort of really reinforced within you that you've got something special, you're representing this fantastic school, you've got to be the best that you can be. But when you look back and you think about it, especially with today's lens, you think that, is that as important as being happy is? So it was kind of like a double-edged sword. And I have spoken to friends from school who turned around and told me that, hey, I'm actually going to therapy right now because, I feel that I'm not doing my best and I should just be living my life and being as happy as I can be. But, we went through 12 years of programming and 12 years of being told that, hey, you got to get up and you got to be the absolute best that you can be. So I think it was like a bit of a double-edged sword. And then the other thing about Cathedral also is that while it is one of the best schools, a lot of the children who do go to Cathedral do come from privilege. And that's just how life is. When you have had a privileged start, then you are likely to excel in life as well, which is why personally I applaud all of my friends from school. I think it's a fantastic community. Cathedralites really support each other, really stand by each other. But I also like the underdog story, the person who went to a municipal school, who had to study in one corner in their room. And then when that story comes up, on the front page of the Times of India or the Indian Express or whatever, that's what I'm applauding.
Yeah, of course.
More than me doing well, or more than any of my friends from school doing well, because like everybody's mom and dad was somebody, and then when your parents are somebody and you go to a school where you're surrounded by somebody, so like an Eton, or like Amit, I believe you went to one of those fancy schools in the UK as well.
Clifton, Clifton College in Bristol. I know
so
now
I
where
don't know,
not to send my kids if I move back to Bombay.
Well, when you come from privilege, the
yeah,
opportunities are there. The doors are
exactly.
open much easily for you. So I
Exactly.
see where you're coming
Exactly. And for me, like, it's like my mom was a lecturer, she taught, and then she stopped teaching. When I was born, my father just worked for a shipping company. So I don't think I came from the same kind of privilege that a lot of my friends in Cathedral came from. But at the same time, to be the only child of two parents who were doing okay, who paid for both my education and my undergraduate degree and supported me quite a bit when I was working for the environment. I mean, I'm very grateful for that privilege, and I definitely acknowledge that I would not be able to be an environmental lawyer for the environment, because as we know, the trees and the mangroves and the birds and the cows don't pay very well. So
So how
you're on.
let's go back a little. I mean,
Yeah.
You've been telling us about your education, your upbringing. How did this passion for the environment come about?
So I think I had this sort of empathy that I grew up with, that I've had in me all my life, where like I said, I'm all about the underdog. That's kind of how it is. And there's no bigger underdog than the environment or the animals, who aren't even viewed as living beings. Like, if you think about it, in the eyes of the law, a corporation has legal rights, and a trust has legal rights. But an animal who stands in front of you, who can touch you, who can feel you, who can love you, has very limited rights in the eyes of the law. So much so that they can be killed in most places for food. And that notion to me is so absurd, because
never thought of it that way.
Yeah, and it's like I spoke about this in my TEDx talk as well. We have stripped them of every sense of sort of dignity that they could have. When you trap a bird in the wild, nobody understands that. Like, I recently this year I was in Borneo in the rainforest, which is like a bucket list item for me, and I saw two rhinoceros hornbills fly, in the sky. And there was a time when people would trap rhinoceros hornbills and keep them as pets. Now the thing is, rhinoceros hornbills mate for life. Lobsters mate for life. And when you're sitting there and people are just eating a lobster, you don't understand that you've taken away someone's mate. And as time goes by, we're proving animal sentience. We're really realizing that they feel just like we do. And like, this entire system, we don't even allow them to have a gender. So it's just it. That's it. We strip them of everything. And when I sort of see this sort of systematic stripping that human beings do for profit, for gain, for convenience, these are things that even as a child didn't sit very well with me. And that sort of inspired me to go to law school, because the thing is that human narrative and storytelling is so strong. And what we've done is that when it's convenient as people, we tell a terrible story about the person who we want to objectify or we want to abuse. And then that makes objectifying them and abusing them very easy. And that's why I wanted to go to law school, because I wanted to change the narrative for those who had been abused and those who have been stripped away of their rights. So all my first cases in court were either for underprivileged under trials, because that's the least sexy cause. When you're out there, the least sexy cause is like the poor man who's stolen a phone and nobody wants to appear for him. Nobody wants to help him. Nobody wants to post his bail. And my first cases were for those people. They were helping organizations that work with commercial sex workers. Again, women who have been stripped of their dignity because there is a system that is institutionalized that wants to abuse them.
And Ambika, sorry to interrupt you, but this was in India.
I'm so much for a light chat, huh?
But this was in India where you were practicing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
So my cases have gone. So I've appeared in the Supreme Court. I've appeared in the High Courts of Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Kerala, I've appeared in district courts all across the country. I've appeared in all the district courts in Delhi. I've appeared in district courts in Haryana. I've appeared in district courts in random parts of Uttar Pradesh, if you could believe it. In Chhattisgarh, I did a case in the Chhattisgarh High Court against the mass sacrifice of animals, and it was a Hindu sacrifice, actually. Really, there were these sort of families who believe that, sort of like mass sacrificing goat. I don't know that also. I don't know. And I've appeared in random courts all over Maharashtra. So I've appeared against illegal butchers. I've appeared against wildlife traders. I've done some class actions as well, like protect the ecosystems, National Green Tribunal cases.
I think,
I've also done like some.
I think, Ambika, I mean, if we go on your CV, we could go on for an hour just on your CV. I think.
No, and it's all such a it's so traumatic, right, Amit? Because it's like, it's like when people see me, it's like they see a pretty face. And this happened to me at COP as well. Like, I was out one evening with a couple of people from COP, and then I went on and I was speaking on this panel for this group called the Plant-Based Treaty. And I was talking about, like, farmer suicides and the way, like, we are pushed, like, wheat, rice, these crops are just pushed on us when, they're absolutely depleting our resources. Just, right now, just before I got on this call, I read such a grim statistic that 2,000 farmers in Maharashtra have committed suicide in the last year. Now that breaks your heart, right?
And why?
Because they have to grow crops which are water intensive. They are unable to grow those crops. Climate change is happening.
Drought.
Weather patterns are changing. Drought happening. These poor farmers are having to take loans from loan sharks because governments don't show up to help them. And then what happens is that their hands are tied, and then they end up killing themselves. And in this city, in Mumbai, there are so many millionaires. That when you look at on either side, it just breaks your heart. So I was on this panel, and I was talking about, all of these issues. And then I got off my panel, and this guy looked at me and he goes, "Man, I saw you out last night. And I didn't think that the same girl could be talking about, like farmer suicides or like, growing millets or growing more sustainable crops or, towards protein diversification and sustainable nutrition to deal with India's, malnutrition issues and, various issues of the global south." And then I just looked at her and I said, "Man, can you not be nice looking, want to look good, take care of yourself and also have a brain? Like, why are those things mutually exclusive?"
I think Amal Clooney gets that all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I think, Ambika, I think you are the reincarnation of Mother Teresa. I mean, your projects.
No, I wouldn't say that at all, because I really do like to have fun as well. I'm quite indulgent. I definitely do not like. I volunteered with the Missionaries of Charity for 2 years of my life, and they really are saints, because whenever I used to see, so basically there's someone who is in the worst shape. Okay. So somebody who has like maggots all over them and things like that, and like government hospitals are shut, people can't take care of those people. That is when the police brings that person to the Missionaries of Charity, and these nuns would go out, they would pick up this person, and they would take care of them, and they would hug them, and they would love them until the moment that they died. And like, I used to see that, and it used to like bring me to tears to like be it was such an honor and a privilege. Like, I feel like God has given me that I have an opportunity to serve and make the world a better place. But I'm not one of those nuns, because it is a Friday night. When we hang up, I am going out for a bit of a party.
Okay, Ambika.
I like to look good.
Let's talk about COP28. I think
COP28.
COP28.
Oh,
I think the fact that 200 countries agreed on anything in today's day and age is something to be confident, and it's a success. But at the same time, this net zero by 2050 seems to be not enough, or it seems to be far away. And the fact that there are no penalties or no targets to reach, I find it not so successful. But you were there. Tell us what your thoughts are on the outcome.
So,
and if you could tell us a little bit for the people who don't know what COP28 is.
Okay. So, that's sort of the United Nations framework on climate change. And so all of the parties who are signatories to that to convention, coming to COP, so that's known as Conference of the Parties, quite simply. So what happened at COP? There was lots that happened at COP. So first off, I decided to call it COPchella, because I think that's when all of the environmentalists dress up and show up, and I think it's basically and everyone's performing and everyone's speaking and everyone's promoting their gigs on, except
the Oscars.
We're not cool enough.
It's the Oscars.
Yeah, it's our Oscars, it's our Coachella. Everyone's like, yeah, everyone's got their picture with the COP, thing in the background, but except we're not cool enough for Instagram, so we have to promote on LinkedIn. That's it. So that's kind of the makeup. So, but for my area, which is food, it was fantastic because we had a food day, and the link between food conservation, starvation, malnutrition, the suicide of farmers, climate change, this link was so apparent to me even as a young child, because I'm just going to give you one example, okay? A factory farm where they have chickens, right? So they've got about 80,000 chickens in this farm, and these chickens are basically laying eggs. Now, the environment around this farm is horrific. The amount of pests they have, they're filled with pests. And you know what? They're always in the poorest villages where the most disenfranchised people live. Now, when you want to get rid of the pests, they take that giant sort of gun, which is filled with some sort of a pesticide, and they go all around the village and they spray it all over the village. So all of these incredibly poor people's homes, you've got this dense white powder. So these people have headaches. Their children aren't well. There are all these problems. And when you sit down and you ask them, so how many eggs do you eat? 3 or 4 eggs a year. How many eggs do people in the cities eat? Every single day. And this is the food system. And then there's emissions from the food system, which a lot of which is methane. And methane is 20 times worse than carbon dioxide, but nobody was talking about methane. So this was the first time that we had a food day, that people recognized that people started talking about things like protein diversification, sustainable nutrition. People started saying maybe the amount of meat we're eating is bad. The United Nations Environmental Program released a report called What's Cooking, where they were talking about all proteins, which is plant-based meat, cultivated meat. Because the thing is that when I went into the farm the first time, when I went to a chicken farm or I went to the dairy, I felt really bad for the animals. But I turned around and I looked at the people who were working in the farms, and I looked at the conditions they were working in, and then I felt really bad for them. And then I looked at the village, and then I looked at the groundwater, because the thing is, you're going to give all these animals a ton of antibiotics. They're going to excrete whatever they're, every single day. That is going to go into the groundwater. That is going to go into the groundwater of the village. That is going to go into the groundwater of the nearby farms, which are just growing gobi. And yeah, I'm a vegan. I'm just eating that gobi, but I'm getting antibiotics into my system because it is next to one of those farms. That was when I realized that, man, there is such a link, and I don't know how people aren't seeing it. So, for those of us who have been working on food, it felt good to have a food day. There was the UAE declaration where they had a focus on farmers, a focus on climate resilient crops like millet. So like I said, that India's really pushed the FAO and the UN for it to be the year of the millets, and this is the year of the millets. The truth is that if India moved away from rice and wheat, and where we should move away from meat as well. That was a Freudian slip. I definitely meant that. So, but if we moved away from rice and wheat and we started eating more millet, we would be so much better off. Our farmers wouldn't be out there killing themselves, because millets just need less water. They're climate hardy crops, And where the sad thing is our food system aren't doing any favors to anybody. And this is sorry, I lost track of this question. But at least at COP, food day came up. There was a declaration. Cellular agriculture, which is the technology by which you can grow meat in a lab. And I think this is so promising because, in the global north, it can help people reduce the carbon footprint from meat. And in the global south, can you imagine if we had a little bioreactor in every single village where people could get meat and milk, and from a bioreactor, not from...
How far are we? Sabrina and I are meat eaters. We enjoy not just the taste, but the smell. How far are we from having an artificial or cell-based or plant-based meat that compares in quality. Uh, you know, I've tried an Impossible Burger. No more for me. I didn't enjoy it.
I was going to ask that. Is Impossible Meat, Beyond Meat, are those what you're talking about?
No, so they're plant-based. They're
Mhm.
plant-based, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good because, I mean, if you look at the emissions, like the amount of land used, the amount of water used, it's like significantly less if you eat an Impossible Burger, and it's far healthier for you as well
Mhm.
But taste and
than
smell?
animal meat. And
Like,
I mean, here's the thing. Okay, I mean,
I
I
enjoy
haven't
it.
eaten. Yeah. So see, Amit, it's also like, how much are we willing to give up for our taste? And the thing is, it's also not how much are we willing to give up, because we're not giving up anything. It's like the poorest of the poor who get, like 70% of antibiotics go to feed animals. A huge percent of like our grains, our soybean meal and things like that go into feeding animals. And then we have other places where people are severely malnutrition. We have people who are starving. 50% of the children under the age of 5 in India have malnutrition. And
How many?
I'm just
Repeat that
thinking,
again.
50, she
How
said.
many?
50%.
50 under
50%
5.
of the children.
Even today?
Yeah, 50 under 5.
Even today? I thought it was 20 years ago.
No, it's a World Bank stat, and I mean, I think it's a World Bank stat, but I've used it in a lot of my papers, so I know that it's right, but I don't have the footnote.
It's okay. We're not a scientific podcast either. We're just trying to get to know you, Ambika. We're trying to get to know you. You're just depressing us about the state of the world. So, you're doing a great job.
It's my whole life. I'm so sorry. This is why I'm not popular, and I have so few friends. Nobody likes inviting me everywhere. Nobody likes inviting me anywhere. Oh. I'm not the best company. I'm not the. Plus, I think I lost most of my friends because I would ask everyone for favors for the animals. Like, hey, like, we've got to save these animals. Could you please drive me here? Could you please drive me there? Could you please do this? Could you photocopy 800 pages for me that I need for court on such and such date? So I think I lost a lot of friends then.
I think we would be friends, Ambika. I think you and I would be friends in Bombay for about a week.
No, I think she can make you a vegan.
This is another reason why I've lost so many friends, because it's like, man, I like that girl though, and she starts talking about animals.
Ambika, I have a joke for you. I have a joke for you because you've been so serious.
Oh no!
All right, a vegan and a vegetarian drop off the edge of a cliff. Who wins?
I don't know.
Society.
I don't know. Oh my God! Oh my.
That's so sad.
Okay, back to going serious. Sorry, I just had to throw in that joke.
I wanted to ask you: has there been progress in protecting animals and the laws in India today? Have you seen progress over the last
India or worldwide?
Both.
So I feel like there's been now I'm also very like glass half full kind of person. So I feel that there has been some progress, because when I went vegan 15 or so years ago or whatever, it was very unpopular, and like I'm just gonna give you like literally like on the legal side, there have been some laws that so in some places we've gone one step forward, in some places we've gone a couple of steps back. It's shifting. But I just want to tell one story, which I thought was the cutest story. I was walking out of one of the shelters, and I saw this little boy, and he was holding like an Indian dog, a stray dog. And I looked at him, and I wanted to tease this kid, and I wanted to know what he said. So I said, "What breed dog is that? What breed is that?" Now, obviously, I'm messing around. We've had rescued animals our whole life. I used to me go, "It's an Indian dog." And like walked away. This little 4-year-old kid, and I thought that was Indian dog. And he walked away, and I said, "Like, hell, this dog."
He doesn't care about the breed. For him, it's just loving a dog.
He was so happy.
Yeah. Basically, our Indian dogs that you see out on the streets every single day, who like now everybody acknowledges deserve loving homes, and we no longer look at animals as status symbols. And when I saw this little kid say that to me, I was like literally like I was gonna cry. I was like, oh my God, that was so sweet. Like I was so happy.
Ambika, let's go back to you. let's go back to you. I
Sorry.
want to get into this
Yes.
whole no friends thing a bit more. No, I mean, we really want to get to know you. So, talk to us about, ADHD and, things that you feel that you've suffered. And is it because of your passion in climate change and your upbringing? Like, how does one get this? Tell us about it.
So the no friends thing was only partially true and partially serious. Like, I am quite blessed. I do have some fantastic friends in all over the world, and I feel, the more times I go back to grad school, the more friends I make. So every time I run out of one batch of friends, I go back to grad school and I make 10 new friends who are 10 years younger. So it's also keeping me young. So I decided when I'm 47, in another 8 years, I'm definitely going back to grad school. But I'm very lucky. I have a fantastic group of friends who tolerate me and sometimes even enable me. I have managed to influence some of them. Some of them have sort of drawn a red line and said, if you want us to be friends, then these are not things that I can't listen to a lecture every day on the pain that the chickens go through. So I meet them on Tuesdays when they aren't eating meat and things like that. So we have a walk around, we have a walk around.
That's awesome. That's great that you have friends that are good enough to have that conversation with you, and you put the red line together. Yeah. But tell us about you mentioned in our initial chat, I hope you don't mind me bringing it up, that you suffered you were diagnosed from ADHD. So if you can tell us about what happened, why, tell us about that.
And when did you get diagnosed? I'm curious.
So guys, I'm so happy you're talking about it, because I feel like if anyone benefits from this, I'd be so delighted. Because so all my life in school, I was always sort of like the naughty kid, the kid who couldn't pay attention. That if I worked so towards the end, I started getting a fourth class, but it was everyone would say that if she worked just a little bit harder, she would do a lot better. Now, the thing is, the reason why I couldn't do that, no matter how much I tried, was because I had ADHD. And only one teacher towards the end of my 12th grade said, you may have ADHD.
By the way, can someone just tell me what that means? Like the abbreviation? Attention?
Attention. Just attention deficit disorder. Those are attention deficit hyperactive disorder. But just basically, attention deficit disorder. So basically what happened is that, and then I ignored it. But, and then I would go, there were so many signs. So also, like, people who have ADHD have a lot of empathy. And so it's like, you're very moved by situations in which you see pain. And like, I kind of feel like my whole career has been undiagnosed ADHD. Then another thing that people with ADHD have is that they need to have 500 projects at all points of time. They we lack dopamine, which is why we often put ourselves in risky situations. So, even though Ritalin and Adderall are stimulants, so they make your heart beat very fast. And sometimes there have been a couple of cases where people have had complications with their heart. And when you're on Ritalin and Adderall, you have to get a ECG every 6 months, which I do. But it has made people who have ADHD less willing to take risks. So for example, for me, all these undercover operations with the police to find wild animals, putting myself in harm's way so frequently, because sometimes in court you're just this one girl who's 28 years old and you're against like 400 people, like wildlife traders on the other side. And that's important work, but could I have done it more smartly? Perhaps. But was it so? You have this heightened sense of justice, but plus when you have ADHD, you lack dopamine. So sometimes you put yourself in really, really sort of scary situations, and they've actually found that a lot of the young people in jail, have ADHD because they store up trouble because they lack dopamine. And like, luckily for me, I wasn't trying to store up trouble aside from people who were doing bad things to animals, the environment, and other people. So it was like righteous ADHD. But was it the best thing for me? No, it was horrible. And I learned this when I was doing my master's. There was this girl called Hanisha, who was a statistician and economist, incredibly bright, also had ADHD. And we were working on Stata, and she was taking me from step 3 to step 4. And every time she did that, I would get confused. And like, for this, I would often have to watch. So after class, I would often get onto like Khan Academy videos. Shout out to Khan Academy. Thank you for helping me with statistics. And, really. But like sometimes I would look at those videos over and over again, and I would just lose my attention, and I would lose where I was, and I had to go back and pay attention again. And the girl looked at me, she said, do you think you have ADHD? And I was like, this teacher did tell me I have it, and I do bounce around a lot, and I do have about 30 open projects at one time. And 1 minute, I joined the gun club, so every Sunday I would go out shooting, and then every like Sunday afternoon I'd have to do something else, and Sunday evening I'd have to do this, and everyone was like, oh my God, you're so high energy, you're so this, you're so that, blah, blah, blah. But was it all of that, or was it just a very bad case of undiagnosed ADHD? So
This ADHD, Sabrina, sounds like every American I know, every Republican.
Well, it's funny because here in the US, you hear critics saying, oh, every child is diagnosed with ADHD, but they're children. They just need to pay attention.
And they give them drugs, right? These kids that drugging them.
Even children. Yeah, even children. And so what, someone who has been diagnosed with ADHD, what do you recommend for young adults or parents with kids to look for?
Well, I think the first thing to do is to take away the sugar.
100%. 100%.
Say sugar?
Right.
Sugar.
Yeah.
I've heard, Ambika, parents say, oh, I think my kid has. And like, meanwhile, this 6-year-old has just, drank a whole Coke. And I'm like,
my kids don't have soft drinks, Sabrina.
Neither does mine.
That's amazing. Okay. No, that's amazing. That is amazing. I like, to take away the sugar, lots of protein, natural whole foods, not processed foods, And then when I'd say like when a young adult is eating well and they're exercising, and they're not on these devices. So when parents have managed to do all of those things and still there is an inability to focus, and you see attention dropping off, or you see the kind of like a little bit of the rebellious behavior and things like that, then I would definitely say that that's time to get a diagnosis. And my advice, and I think it's almost like it's very wrong when doctors like just hand out Ritalin without saying that you need to exercise. So I've actually taken up like martial arts. So I do an hour of like MMA every morning, like the kicking and punching and things like that, because that level of exercise, it gives me so much dopamine. So I have no processed food, I have no sugar, I drink as little as possible, and and then I exercise. I downloaded Headspace, and I meditate every night, and I meditate every morning. And now I'm only on 5 mg of Ritalin every single day. I just take 5 mg, which is a micro mini dose.
Because you're replacing everything with natural remedies.
Yeah.
I love that. That's fantastic.
There's lion's mane, there's ashwagandha, there's all these amazing things that, connect with nature, spending time with nature, a little bit of yoga, doing that yoga thing where you focus on a flame, focusing on the ocean. And, these are things that parents can do with their kids. And I think it's really tragic when doctors just pump kids with meds. Because I'm not saying medicines are bad. They're great. I take Ritalin every single day, and it has changed the game for me. And my output is like fantastic. I open up a project, I'm able to stick to it. Like earlier, I've had burnouts, I've had all these things. And, now with my medicine, with being intentional, I'm doing so much better every single day. But
it seems like you're not relying on the medication only. You're working on balance, your physical balance, your mental balance.
But Sabrina, it is important for me, because
I 100% agree. Yeah, but I feel like you're using I feel like here I've met so many people that solely rely on the medication without doing everything else. And trust me, I agree with having to take medication, but I also feel like you need the other tools as well.
Do you booze? Do you drink alcohol, Ambika?
So it's interesting, right? With alcohol, like I like, obviously when I was younger I would drink, but now I'm sort of in this space where I really see how horrible it is for you and how terrible it is for your brain, and because your quality of sleep is bad, and it makes your skin horrible. And again, to add to my lack of popularity, it's like she's vegan, she doesn't drink, nobody wants to know her. Thank God I'm pretty. I have my friends.
You
Least
are so
popular.
awesome.
No, and Sabrina is just an unpopular person. Like, do you want somebody to like step by step tell you why all the things you love are bad for you? Then you can invite me.
Actually, I've been feeling like I can't drink anymore. I wake
Well,
up
that's
feeling
amazing.
awful. Like I'll have a
Amazing.
little bit and that's it now. It's awful.
Yeah.
I asked you what age you were when you were diagnosed because just 2 days ago, a good friend of mine told me, and she just turned 40, and she said that she went, she's been going to a psychiatrist or psychologist, and the psychologist said, you know what, let's test you. And she said, I wish I would have known all these years that I do have ADHD. And now, she's like excited to be on a path um, of getting that under control. So it's what, whether you're a child or an adult, I think it's important. And I'm glad you were honest about that. Thank you.
I thought, Sabrina, you were just trying to get invited to her 40th birthday. That's what I thought you were asking.
I am actually, because although, you can preach, I love animals. So maybe I will become a vegetarian like my husband.
But I think it's really amazing, Sabrina, that your friend came to you, because like when you get diagnosed with ADHD, you go to like your least judgmental three friends who you think will hold space and accept you for the way that you are. So I think if she came to you the next day, then you're definitely like one of the friends who she thinks will not judge and hold space. And I think that with somebody who has neurodivergence, those friends really matter. The first person you can call up and say that to. So speaking about my 40th birthday, I already have the plan, and I'm gonna like, let's see if this really happens. But I've been thinking, so I want to go to Peru, and I wanted to do the Inca Trail with 4 or 5 of my friends. So like 4 or 5 days of like intense trekking in Peru. And I have this friend from Cambridge who's doing her PhD on the food consumption patterns of indigenous communities in Peru and the impact that climate change has on the her name's Anel. Shout out to Anel for helping plan my 14th birthday. I'll send this to her and hopefully she'll take the planning more seriously. So that's what I'm really gonna do. Like, I'm gonna have 10 of my friends and we are gonna do the Inca Trail together, for like 4 or 5 days, like intense days in the forest, backpack. Cool. Yeah, Sabrina, come.
I'm coming.
Well, I actually happen to be neighbors with Peru, so.
Yes, I know.
So here's 2 friends already that are coming with you.
Yeah.
When it comes to climate change, is it reversible? We keep hearing.
Is it too late?
And I do believe. Is it too late? And can we go back? Can we fix?
Did we screw up having kids? Is what Sabrina wants to know.
Oh my God. Because I'm the wrong person to ask. And I'm the wrong person to ask is because sometimes I look at the things around me and I'm always really stressed out. And I think I have a little bit of climate anxiety, but I'm also optimistic. And I think that so what's really great about people is that while we do screw up a lot, we do also have it within us to rectify things. And I think the Montreal Protocol is a fantastic example of this. So I don't know if you guys remember, there were about 10 years ago, everyone was going on about the ozone layer that was being caused by air conditioners and in the deodorant cans, because they had this thing called chlorofluorocarbons. And then the international community came together and they had this thing called the Montreal Protocol where over time we got rid of the refrigerators and the air conditioners and the deodorant cans, which had these CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, and now everything is CFC free. And so the holes stop getting bigger and things like that. So my point is, when people come together and we decide that we want to do something, there is nothing that is out of reach. And I think that's what movements are made of, and that's the real dream. And that's why kids are so important. That's why raising kids right is so important,
Yeah, I think the people in Palestine and Ukraine would not agree with you that people are coming together for all the causes.
No.
But I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
It's very sad. It's very sad. The world isn't perfect. The world isn't perfect, and there are many forces at play. there are economic forces at play, there are political forces at play, there are wheels within wheels, there are things that are happening that you and I don't even know about, and we don't know why they're happening or what the reason is or who's behind what, but we do know that
money rules the world.
Money rules the money. I think, if you really think about it, like what is it? It's just a piece of paper, right? So for example, even my law degree, and that's why I realized COVID, so the world shut down, my law degree is worthless. Like if our social system, our structure, the way that it is, if that collapses, what use is my law degree? Zero. Carpentry is more useful. If I had to survive in the forest, it would be more useful for me to be able to make myself a chair that would be, I will draft a fantastic petition at this point. No one cares. It's absolute. Sometimes you really think about it. These systems we've created, oh my God, that we've created them. We've put so much paper around them. And
now we know why Bitcoin
is going up. I was saying the irony is we don't even use we don't use paper money anymore, hardly.
Yeah, we don't use, and we sell everything for money. It's like, you think about it, you're giving all your time for money, and that's just something that's been created. And it's like, sometimes I sit back and I think about this stuff, and I'm definitely ready to live off the grid. But we know that's not going to happen because there's no salon off the grid. So I'm here.
Ambika, we ask our guests, all of them, what their definition of success is, and we've spoken about lots of things here: climate control, martial art, helping animals save the world. But we want to know what your definition is of success.
I think like, if I could do a little bit to make the world a little bit of a kinder place and also have a nice time while doing it, then that would be my definition of success. Because I think it's important for us to have our personal goals and also goals that are goals for things that are beyond that. Because when I was growing up, I only had goals for the planet, and I totally neglected myself, which is why I probably didn't realize I had ADHD. That's why I fell quite sick. I absolutely burnt myself out to the point that my nerves were, jangling and things like that. So I really, when you do those intense days for many years, it all compounds. So I realized that, a little bit of balance where you have a little bit of your professional goals, giving back, making the world kinder, whatever your goals may be, take every step with empathy. Don't hurt anyone, as much as, because, everything begins here on. And if enough people say we don't want to hurt someone else, then, the narrative, the way our world they change, the whole thing about being inclusive. You look at bullying in schools right now. Kids don't get bullied as much as they did in our time, which I think is fantastic. So, a little bit of that, a little bit of my professional goals, and a little bit of my personal goals, trekking in Peru with my friends, and doing all of those exciting things down and the skydiving. I want to jump out of a plane. So that's probably the ADHD, but I definitely want to do it.
And Ambika, who has inspired you?
Greta.
Greta, the thing is, I was way into it when Greta came. And that's her. Whenever I used to look at her, I used to always know that she is going to burn out, and now she has burnt out.
Really?
And because I think she's given a couple of talks where she's spoken about the personal toll that these movements and this work has had on her. At least that's what I saw. What I saw.
She's so young.
In a couple of videos.
Yeah,
but that's the thing, right? You go into these things so optimistic, and you're like, you do, and then you kind of get burned. You kind of, so that's why I always say, we need to view it as a marathon and not a race. But nobody tells young activists that, so that's kind of a thing. Sorry, what was your question?
Who inspires you?
Yeah,
who inspires
you? Yeah, people like Donald Trump have insulted Greta. Yeah, sorry, who inspires you? I interrupted like I normally do by throwing in Greta. I apologize.
Who inspires me? So, there are a couple of lawyers who I found really inspiring. So one was Shirin Ebadi. She won the Nobel Peace Prize around the time when I was in law school. Fantastic Iranian human rights activist woman, very strong, powerful lawyer. So Shirin Ebadi definitely blew my mind away. And then there was this girl called MC Mehta, who would go out and fight for the environment. There was a judge called Justice Kuldeep Singh, who was the Chief Justice of India, who passed some fantastic decisions, for the environment. So much so I still remember I met Justice Singh one day and I was so excited to see him. Like I was fangirling as hard as you would if you'd see like a rock star, because to my mind, Kuldeep Singh was like my rock star, right? And I was so excited to see him. When he told me, he said, you won't believe one day there was he shut down all the factories around the Taj because the Taj was becoming yellow because of those factories. And a paper on the front page of the paper had written a really nasty article about him, basically saying, who does the judge think he is? But today the Taj is standing and millions of people can see it, and it isn't as yellow as like
Beautiful.
as yellow.
It really is beautiful.
Yeah, but it's because of this one man, him just having the gumption and him taking that decision. So it's all of these guys, they just kind of have the courage and they go out there and they do these great things. But it was nice because when I met Kuldeep Singh, he wasn't like he was sitting there at this party and I was chatting away to him. But he was also sitting at this party in Chandigarh, surrounded by like 10 of his friends and laughing and having a drink and enjoying his evening. So I thought, that's winning. That's winning, because when you have this life of impact, then you know what? You're 80, you're off the bench, you've got 8 of your buddies around you. You've got this like 30-year-old who's so inspired by your work that she won't even leave you alone at 11 p.m. at a party. But you're happy. You're happy.
And that reminds me, you've made some instrumental changes, in India. One being, I read, you were instrumental in the banning of the Victorias or horse-drawn carriages in Mumbai in 2015. Was the goal of this to stop the wear and tear of the horses?
Yeah, because it's really quite horrible, right? Bombay is such a busy city, and they're on these carriages, they're pulling these massive carriages, 6 people, 8 people on them. I grew up in Colaba, you'd see them collapse in front of my eyes every single day. But the good thing is the court order was very balanced because, it said that stop the carriages but rehabilitate the people who have the licenses. And that's the kind of thing that you like, where like no one left behind. So the horrible thing was stopped, but also the people got some kind of rehabilitation, which is what we need now. We need these kind of inclusive situations. And see, the impact of the case was only on 180 animals, and it took about four years of my life, for working on it. So when you think about it, like, but the point wasn't that. The point is that it's a decision, a court order, where the court says, that this isn't viable anymore and we can move on. And I think that is the symbolism of that case has held me in great, held me very well in my life, because now with cultivated meat and cell-based milk, we are able to get people nutritious protein without harming the animals and the planet and millions of people and the rainforests. Where you live, you know how the cattle ranches affect the rainforest. So we're able to get people, because by 2050 we're going to be 10 billion. So now we're able to feed people sustainably, and we don't have to hurt many animals and hurt many people in the process. And we can help farmers also by growing more sustainable, nutritious food, which climate hardy crops and things like that. So it's kind of that. Although the impact of the case at that point was only 100 animals, I'm sure the people have used 180. What if people have used it in
the right direction?
Yeah, and and then you realize that what, we can move on, we can progress, and just like with the guys who had the carriages, just like that, the farmers can be included in a part of a solution, which is what we refer to as a just transition. So I think it was the symbol of 4 years of intense hard work that would hold me to make me realize that this is possible. Yeah. And I don't have a scientific background, but man, if I could stop work on animal testing and things like that, I would love to do that, because I know how social monkeys are. Just to see them in those cages with devices and things like that really feels so horrible. Amit, I basically have made everybody who listens to this podcast cry. Right? I think this is gonna be you guys. This is gonna be your least popular podcast.
Not true. I think, yeah.
Sabrina, I think Ambika has a party to go to. So should we head to the rapid fire?
I do.
Let's do it.
Oh wow, rapid fire. Okay, let's do
Okay,
this.
first one. Who would you have dinner with? And you could pick one person, anyone that inspires you, alive or passed away.
Maybe John Lennon. That'd be cute. It'd be quite. It would be cute. It'd be cute. Like, you know,
Yeah.
that'd be nice. I'd ask him to sing for me or something. You know.
Okay.
I love that.
Next. If you were stuck in an island and you could only take 3 things with you, not people, what are those 3 things?
My mobile, my laptop, a way to charge them endlessly so that I could get someone to come and rescue me. So,
Someone else said that too.
Yeah.
The last guest said the same thing. I think my cell phone.
I don't think they
or my
realize in an
laptop.
island they can't charge. Deserted island, I should mention, with no power.
That's why I said. That's why I said third thing, my battery pack or some kind of like a satchel.
I thought she was going to say a dog, a cat,
because-
and an animal. So
No, I wouldn't take. Actually, I'd be quite happy because I just take like, you know, a couple of nice books and like an endless supply of like water and like, you know, just really enjoy a bit of a break, because I have like every 4-year-old today, I have a phone addiction. So it'd be so nice that, you know, I feel like I still to this day feel that the best sleep I had was in a yurt in Sequoia because you know there was no mobile phone network, so I had to. I wasn't staring at that light, and I got 8 hours of real sleep, and I don't think I've gotten that in several years. So it has. I wouldn't take my phone.
So you said books. So next question: what is a book you recommend to others?
A book I recommend to others. Gosh, that's like that's such a difficult. That is such a difficult one. I actually, you know, like I love like when I read. Gosh, this is such a difficult one. What book would I recommend to others?
what book do you give?
Okay, for kids, so for kids, I always give them like Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy, which I think is like a funny, nice book. I've also read this book, which was like conversations between the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu, called the Book of Joy, which was amazing. You know, then I also really like enjoyed, well, not enjoyed, but it was one of the books that like made me really, like, you know, really kicked me in the gut, was, you know, Man's Search for Meaning, you know, about the guy who spent all of that time in Auschwitz and how it was like meaning that like kept him through that, took him through that time. Then there's this other book. It's mainly these kind of. It's mainly a book that's either like a bit funny or a book that has like a message of hope and like a message of love at the end of it. And yeah, it is that Book of Joy, when I finished reading it, I really enjoyed it.
Okay, next.
See, my choice of books is as now that I've looked around, well, like, you know, somebody who spent time in Auschwitz, like the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, like
They're good books.
like
They're good books. Yeah.
I think.
What is that, other than the phone, mobile phone, what is that one bad habit or vice that, you know, you can't get out of? You know, maybe it's your resolution for 2024.
Nose drops. Hot-driven nose drops.
Nose drops.
What is?
I have like a blocked nose all the time, and I don't know why. And like I think I need to keep using these like just nasal decongestants. And I know that you think that it's so mad that I've just spoken of that, but I swear to God, that is a real addiction. I use
Wow.
decongestants every morning and every night, and if I don't have my nasal decongestant, I cannot sleep. And this is a joke with all of my friends. Would Ambika eat, or would she use a nasal decongestant? Would Ambika give up a family member or nasal decongestant? Does she love that more or her dog more? This is true. If I could take you on my computer to my bedside, you would see 4 bottles of nasal decongestant.
It's a good one. We've never heard that one before. Sabrina, last
yeah,
one.
That's a good one.
Last one, Sabrina.
Last one. You have a billboard in New York Times Square. Okay. What words would you leave behind to inspire others? And it's your legacy. What would you write, or you could even draw something?
Be kind. Sorry.
I do. But I just say like walk with compassion. like something about like walk with compassion, you know, that's the most important thing. I think if we just have a little bit of compassion, a little bit of empathy, and those are the glasses with which we view life, you can be successful and have compassion and empathy. And that's it. And if you have compassion and empathy, the world flips. You know, if all the people in power just had compassion and empathy, the world would flip. And then that's it. Just like walk with compassion. Every step that you take, you can change someone's life for the better or for the worse. And it's really up to you what you choose to do with it. And the people who are more powerful, they can do. And in you, I think it's almost like an obligation at that point of time, like whatever it is. Everybody's got the power to do something. And, you know, especially my friends who went to Cathedral, like they are some of the most powerful people in the country. So come on, guys, come on.
Ambika,
I love it.
This was fun.
I'm such a socialist.
This was. I did not expect today's conversation to take the turns that we did today, from martial MMA to nasal drops to climate change
to saving the planet
to talking about, you know, the entitlement of your school. I really enjoyed your candid, you know, honest approach. I love what you're trying to do and what you are doing in terms of helping the world and making it a kinder place. And I hope to get to know you in person in the near future. Thank you again for coming on the pod.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. You guys have been amazing. It really has been amazing to tell my story within in a space that felt so safe, where I could be vulnerable and talk about the good, the bad, and, you know, sometimes the really incredibly silly. Because also I feel as women, you don't get a chance to be silly. You have to, especially when you're a female lawyer. Like, you know, I've had so many people be very nasty. You know, funny, there was the one time in court where I was wearing trousers and I bent down to pick up a book, and there were like 6 male lawyers who I went to law school with, who were all just looking at my butt. And then I turned and I looked at them and I thought to myself, what is wrong with you guys? Like, we went to school together. This is making me uncomfortable. And then I realized that as a woman, you don't have the license to be funny. You have to be very serious all the time, or you're going to be viewed as a sort of
I love your personality, and it exudes through this video. So thank you for sharing that with us, truly. And you said something right at the beginning that really resonated with me. And maybe to many it's a simple concept, but you said corporations have rights, trusts have rights, but animals don't. And that one's been with me the last hour. So I think that one's really going to resonate with me a lot. Great. So I think you're absolutely adorable. Like, your personality is amazing. So thank you for sharing.
I made new friends.
Yes, we'll see you in Peru for sure.
No, definitely, guys, come. We do the Inca Trail. Everyone's vegan for 7 long days.
I can do it.
Get to know each other. Yeah, yay.
Yes.
I couldn't do it. I like you, but I couldn't do it. So.
Thank you, everyone. This has been such a fun and knowledgeable conversation. And I hope it impacted you the way it did us. So thank you, everyone. And we look forward to having you on our next conversation of Indian explorers.